afternoon and good evening. It depends where you are located. Welcome to the QA on the Move Meetup or webinar, whatever you want to say. So this is a focus for those who want to learn, teach, and share knowledge in the area of software testing and QA, such as, for example, functional testing, automation testing, performance testing, usability, security, even software engineering and coding. We'll be talking about tools, techniques, methodology, conference, webinar, certification, training, just opportunity, etc. This is our first meetup. So thank you again so much for joining us. We'll be trying to do it every month. So for the next month in March, we'll be talking about automation testing or usability testing. So keep that in mind. Also, feel free to, propose a presentation for us as a speaker. It could be amazing. If you want to present, I don't know, some topic, QA topic or software engineering topic, you are more than welcome to join us the next meeting like a speaker. So, for example, if you have any announcement or something to share with the community, you can react to us for everything that you want. You can contact with us and we can include in our presentation for our members. So just a little bit about myself. My name is Delvis Echeverria. I know we need to double R. Echeverria. I have 2 degrees. The first one is focused on computer science engineer. Second one is a master science software quality. Both of them by the computer science university. I was trying to translate to Spanish, English. So computer science university in Havana, Cuba. So I was working as software test engineer, QA manager, performance test engineer, professor, instructor in Cuba, Uruguay, Argentina, Colombia, Puerto Rico. Right now I'm living in Florida. Florida is an amazing place. I love Florida, especially in the Southwest Florida. This area is so quiet, so green, no worry about the traffic. So I love that. So I remember one person said me one day, you are a lucky guy because you are living where people vacation. So that is correct. So guys, I loved the HTTP code. As you can see in my t-shirt, this is the 200 HTTP code. That code means that everything, it's okay. As we all know, 2020 was kind of complicated for us, for everyone around the world due to the pandemic. So I give you that code for this 2020. So friends, be safe this 2020, okay? So I have to say thank you to our friends, partners, Brightest and Performance Testing United. Thank you so much, especially Kyle and Emilie. You guys, always you are supporting our projects and struggling with our calendar. Sorry, Emilie, I know in Germany it's around 6 p.m. Sorry. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Sorry,
yeah,
it's complicated, our calendar. So thank you to ESCO Advisory for sponsorship this meetup. ESCO Advisory is, I can say, is our sweet project. We are a couple of friends working in our passion, QA and software testing. So I have to mention here to our local and friend meetup, Southwest Florida coders, especially to Sarela and Derek. Sarela is here with her baby. Hello, Sarela.
Hi, thank you.
It's nice sharing with you on the meetup. Thank you so much for your supporting. Thank you.
And thank you guys for the support to us too.
So I will be sharing the link for your virtual meetup right now. I think that the next one is about GitHub. Really?
Yeah, it's all Git for beginners, just Git from the terminal kind of thing.
Nice. Okay, so you are more than welcome to join them. So guys, for today, we will be ruffling this book. This book is about performance testing. The name is The Art of Application Performance Testing. It's an amazing book. It's an amazing book. So you can learn from strategy, methodology, process, tools. It's an amazing book. So the raffle will be based on vote for the most interesting question. So you have to do 2 things. The first one, ask your question about the speaker presentation through Zoom chat or Facebook group. And second, vote for the most interesting question in our Facebook group. So I can share the link. This is the link for our Facebook group. So I can share the link into the Zoom chat for everyone. And we will be presenting the result in 24 hours. The winner will be the most voted question. So keep your eyes in the pool, okay? So guys, let me introduce them, Emilie and Christopher. She's working on Brightest and Christopher is working at ESCO Advisory. Hey guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining in this meetup. So Emilie, go ahead.
Thank you. So I'll be sharing screens now. Let me know if you can see everything. Can everybody see my screen? Are we okay?
No, not yet.
All right. So it means something's not working because it would be too easy. All right. Now it should be.
Here we go. Perfect. Okay.
Thank you. So, first of all, thank you again for inviting me tonight. Well, today, this morning, whatever it is. So I'm Emilie. Emilie Potin-Suau is my full name. A little bit too complicated to say, so just call me Emilie or Emilie Brightest, no problem. I'm senior partner and certification manager in Brightest. So today, the aim is to tell you a bit more about us and to see how with certifications we can help you validate the knowledge that you can gather throughout your professional career. So about Brightest, we are a global exam provider. We're based here in Germany, but you can get our support and our exams all over the world. So I'll tell you a bit more about how we work. We work with different committees, international committees around the world. All of them offer IT-related topics, certifications. Some of the most famous here, the ISTQB, I'm sure many people know them. So they set the standards for testing knowledge of professionals around the world. We also work with ISAQB, which focuses on architecture, software architecture, with the FBOG for function point user groups, with PM for project management, and with various United certifications. So Performance Testing United is one of those. This will be one of our main focus here. So if you'd like to know everything we offer, I'll go through a few today, but it's all available on our website. I've left the link here and I'll leave more info later. So about Brightest, how to get certified through Brightest. What is important here is to know that all of the certifications are recognized worldwide. I'll just take off my video so everybody can see better. Most of the certifications we offer are valid for a lifetime. So this is also important. Often people are quite worried about getting certified regularly. Some of them need to be renewed. For example, if both certifications need to be renewed simply because it's very specific. So here you need to update your knowledge regularly. For most of the committees, there is a successful candidate register, which is something people want. If you have been working so hard to get your certification in the end, you would like them to be somewhere where we can easily access. This is what most boards, committees offer, so that you can guarantee the validity of all the certifications and certificates you hold. So when you take your exam and you pass your exam, you will receive an official certificate. You will also receive a digital badge from our partners Credly. So these are digital credentials that help you validate and verify all of the certifications that you hold. I cannot, yes, here it is. So what do those united certifications consist of? As you see at the bottom of my screen, I've put some of the topics that they deal with. What makes them particular on the IT market is that they are aimed at practical trainings, practical knowledge. So this is why they exist. They have been created to meet current demand of the IT world. So you have, for example, ISTQB, the ISTQB board aims at setting standards for testers. Here for the united certifications, you will have more of a focus on how to implement this knowledge or tools into your work. For example, with Agile United, you will be focusing on how to use the Agile methodology as a tester in your professional life. With Performance Testing United, you will focus on the use of JMeter, for example, when doing your performance testing. What also is particular about them is their creation. So when I speak of a board, of a committee, I refer to a committee of experts, a SIG, who gather to create a certification, so to formalize basically their professional knowledge into a training that people can follow to meet the knowledge requirement. There can also be professionals who already offer the trainings and will formalize it into a certification through their partnership with us. The second important aspect is the review committee. So if you go on the website of each of those certification, each of those committees' websites, you will see some members of their review committees who are professionals from this field. They can be professionals of training, they can be enthusiasts of the matter who help support the creation of the materials, reviewing them and making the committee sure that the certification they offer is relevant in the IT world, is relevant in the regions where it's offered, is also updated as the IT knowledge and the IT tools evolve. So that's quite an important role they play. And then you have let's say the practical side of the certification. You have the training provider partners, so who will offer the training all over the world in many different regions and languages, and who partner with the exam provider, in that case, Brightest, us, who, so our aim here is to help you, support you to organize the exams everywhere you are. So the training format of those united certifications, as I was saying at the beginning, is aimed at practical training. So you will have guided, semi-guided exercises. There you go. You will have all those different exercises you will do with your trainers so you can apply directly in your work. I will not go much into the contents today, as Christopher will be speaking about it. But so you know, the exam itself is a 60-minute exam, multiple choice, with 65% required to pass. So here, a fairly standard exam that will help you validate the knowledge you've been gathering during the whole study of the during your training. If you'd like to know more the details of what is into was this, sorry, I'm admitting people at the same time, so sometimes I'm making pauses. But if you'd like to know more about it, you have the study programs that are the syllabi and some sample exam that you can check in several languages on the website. So this will help you know what it consists of and whether this is a certification you would consider doing for your career. These are a bit of information about the Performance Testing United certification we're speaking of today. So, as I mentioned, focused on performance testing with JMeter. What is important to know will be here the kind of audience maybe is not the right word, the kind of candidates it's aimed at. Mainly software testers, test engineers, performance testers, performance engineers, test leads, QA manager, operational support. These are the kind of people who could be interested in taking and following a training like this, in taking a certification like this, so they can have their knowledge recognized worldwide. To keep speaking about the practical aspect of your certification. So once you've trained and gathered all your knowledge, you can take your exam. It's not as difficult as it sounds these days. I know with coronavirus, it's been fairly challenging, everything. But so you know, we partner with Pearson VUE. I'm sure quite a lot of you will know of them. They have a very secure and available everywhere in the world exam platform. So with that in mind, you can choose whether right now you're at home, you don't want to, or you maybe cannot leave your home. You have an option with the private exam, which is supervised through your webcam by a Pearson VUE professional. So we can help you and support you in registering, so you know everything, you're ready with the technical aspects of that exam. If you're an individual and you can go out because luckily your region is corona-free or nearly, you can go to any of the Pearson VUE test centers. So this allows you to have a person there, Pearson VUE professional, physically supporting you. And if you're a group and you would like to get certified with your team, you can also choose the Brightest Green exam, which is an electronic group exam. So in that case, you would get a Brightest supervisor come to your office or in any possible room for where you've taken your training, for example, and you could take your exam directly at the end of your training. So these are many options that you can think of. The other and last part of the certification process is the training provider partner. So you may be interested in becoming one because you're already working in training, in performance testing, and this could be an idea. So I'm giving you a bit of information. Again, most of the information is on the website, so you can go at any time to visit it. But it mainly consists of 3 steps of getting certified, so obtaining your exam. You will need the official course materials. So here you have 2 options. You can, of course, use the official materials. You can license them, or you're already training in that topic and you've made sure that your materials fit and all the points from the syllabus. Then you can have them verified, or I'd rather say validated, by the committee, and then you can use them. The third step, once you've done all of this, you can get officially recognized, so become an official training provider. This consists of an agreement that you will sign, and then with a yearly, biannual, triannual payment fee, so you can be officially recognized as a PtU training provider. This is a new aspect, so I've put it here. You can see the trainer badge that is available to trainers nowadays. It will give an idea to the future certified candidates of what they could obtain when passing their exams. So with these badges, they are verifiable. So you can, again, have them on your, I don't know, LinkedIn profile, for example, and it's an extra plus that you get by becoming a trainer. These are some of the training provider partners we work with. So, of course, they cover quite a lot of areas of the world. You're always welcome to contact us to know who could possibly help you get trained in your area, in your region, or contact them directly through the Brightest page. So, again, we work in different languages. Don't think that getting your certification in one or the other language will change anything in their validity. Of course not. And you will have, again, lots of different options for your trainings, online, presential, etc. How can we support you? Furthermore, from Brightest, by simply giving you the information that you require, because some people will need certifications of one type, some will need more technical certifications, united, or will need something to start in the career and could require a more not conceptual, I'm losing my words right now, I'm thinking in French, I'm sorry, but more, okay, the contrary of practical, sorry, I'm losing my word right now, but you understand what I mean. Theoretical certifications to start. So here we can help you, we can support you to define how you start your career or how you've already worked, and you can validate your knowledge. We can direct you to our training provider partners, and they will then give you the dates of the next courses, or you can also see all the topics of costs, etc., conditions directly through them. Then we can, of course, help you with the organization of the exams itself, sending everything that is available once you pass your exam. So here I've left a little picture because we are the Brightest team. You can count on our help and our support for taking any certification that I've mentioned, and many more. I'll leaving my contacts here. You can, of course, write to us or visit our webpage before that. And I will stop sharing so Christopher can continue speaking. What? No, I want to stop sharing. Why can I not stop sharing? Okay, stop share. That's why. Okay, here I am.
All right.
I managed. IT knowledge.
There you go.
Thank you so much, Emilie.
Christopher continues. Sorry, it's been a bit rough with, I've got lazy fingers today, apparently.
It's okay. Thank you so much, Emilie.
My pleasure, my pleasure. I've been admitting everyone, I think. I've been doing good.
It's okay.
Thank you very much, Emilie. I appreciate it. Let me go ahead and get my screen shared as well. All right. And is my screen visible there?
It is.
All right, wonderful. All right, so on that note, Emilie, thank you very much. I appreciate that introduction of Brightest and the Testing United opportunities that we have. Now, to get a little bit further into details, today we're going to be talking about one of the aspects of the Performance Testing United curriculum, mostly JMeter test plans for databases and web services. Now, before we do get started, of course, my name is Christopher Valenciano, and I am actually joining you from Southwest Florida as well. I work with SQA Advisory. I've been doing testing for about 2 or 3 years now, mostly focused on the performance aspects of it. I had some great mentorship, and I got certified myself with performance with PtU last year. I want to say it was almost a year ago now. And it's been a great adventure and a great ride, and I'm very excited and very glad that I was able to get certified through such a nice and great entity as Brightest and the PtU group. So again, we are located in Southwest Florida. As Delvis said a short while ago, it is a great place to live where people come to vacation. Sometimes, other times you wish you could go on vacation and instead of actually working there, but it is a great place to be. Now, same as Emilie mentioned, these are some of our partners that we have worked with, either in consulting or offering training. Again, SQA does do a little bit of both. We're not just a training entity. We do also offer consulting, all sorts of consulting. We offer performance load and stress test consulting, web performance optimization in different tools that we can use that exist out there. We do functional testing and automation testing, as well as APIs and web services, usability testing, evaluation, user acceptance testing. We do security testing, penetration, ethical hacking, and also consulting in specifically use of tools such as JMeter, and all other sorts of tools, Postman, SoapUI, Jira, Catalan. We offer all kinds of different consulting that we provide, as well as testing itself. So, sorry, teaching itself. We teach many different courses throughout what we offer. JMeter Fundamentals, this can be online or on site. We have delivered many of these courses all over. As so much as we've been out to Puerto Rico, lots here in Florida, done online testing in Central and South America as well. We have courses on Selenium WebDriver, usability testing, security testing, and of course, our main one that we're talking about today is performance testing with PtU and Brightest. This is a certification. We do offer it online and on-site. On-site mostly here in Central and Southwest Florida, or South Florida in general. Now, to explain a little bit more and go a little more in detail with PtU itself and what we offer. PtU is a 3-day course. It's a total of 24 hours. It's broken up into 6 different chapters where we go into a lot of detail on how to perform complete performance testing with JMeter specifically. So of course, an introduction into the whole performance testing world is covered in chapter 1. Chapter 2 does go into the basics of scripting for performance testing using JMeter. Chapter 3 goes into advanced scripting, where we talk a lot about correlation and parameterizing our scripts so that they are scalable and reusable. Chapter 4 is specifically test execution and how to perform your tests and go through that and monitor your results. And chapter 5 is how to provide that documentation at the end of your projects, and how to make sure that you go through a complete project and documentation for the product owners or project managers that you have to provide for as well. And then chapter 6 extra is a lot more emphasis on the monitoring of your scripts and your performance tests and part of the execution. So all in all, it is 6 chapters broken up over 3 days or 24 hours. We have had different courses broken up a little bit differently than just the 3 days as well. Anybody would like more information, our next class is in May. If anybody does have any questions or would like more information, you can certainly reach out to us on our website, through email at info@SQA Advisory, or you can reach out to Emilie at Brightest as well, and we can provide all of that information for you. Now, to get down to the nitty-gritty, the one of the reasons why everybody was here, we're going to get into our hands-on session and try to go through the JMeter test plan for databases and web services. Now, we do try to keep the information that we share here on our GitHub. You can always access it. The scripts that we will be reviewing today will be shared there, so that if anybody would like to go in and kind of get your hands dirty playing around with some of this information in JMeter, you can certainly go ahead and download that from GitHub and practice on your own. So the first one we're going to go through is the web services test plan. We do use a simple calculator. This is the main website for the web service itself. Now, we are going to be performing 2 tests on our web service. We are going to perform an addition, and then we're going to perform 1 multiplication. I'll show you how to kind of set that up and prepare your script so that you can go through all the different steps on how to work on that. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and move over to our JMeter so that we can see how that works. Now, for anybody that is familiar with JMeter, obviously this is the main starting screen whenever you open it up. I have a blank test plan, totally clear, haven't put anything on there. Now, if you are familiar with JMeter, you've used it before to record your activity on a website or an application. The difference between JMeter for web services and JMeter for certain applications is that we can't record anything for a web service. We actually have to have all of that information provided to us, whether it's from our development team or if we can link it on the web service as we can here. This is the web service that I will be using for addition. This information right here in itself is the whole complete web service. So this is what I will be using to perform or to create the script that I'm going to be using to test it. So first thing that we need to go in and create, we need to add to our test plan a thread group so that we can create that basis of that testing. So from the thread group, we want to go in and we want to make sure that we are going to add our HTTP request. In this case, it's the same. It's very similar to when you are recording your scripts if you have used the record method of it. So except that here, instead of us capturing that information through the recording, we're manually putting it in. Now, this is going to be the main part of our web service, but since web services do have additional information, we do need to make sure that we are going to add one of our configuration elements, which is our header manager. All right, so we need to make sure that we're adding all of that information because these are going to be the 2 parts of our request that we are going to be working on. Now, as a good practice when you're working with web services, it is always a good idea to just kind of start at the top and work your way down. Make sure that you are getting all of that information in there so that you're not missing any steps when creating that. So, of course, if we start right at the beginning, we're seeing that our first option here is that this is going, or the method that we are using for this web service is going to be a post. So if we go back to JMeter, we can change our method back to post, and now we know that we're getting started. All right. Now, if we go back to our web service, now the next part that we have here is the path of our web service that we need to use to make sure that we're going to the right address and direction. So we can paste that here. That is our path. Now, the other thing that we need to put in is our actual website. So our host name right here, we can grab the host, we can copy that as well, and put it in our HTTP request. So we're almost there. We're not quite finished with this because we do still need to go in and make sure that we're putting our headers that we have here and that we're including that in the part of the script where it belongs. So again, these are our headers. So we're not going to put that in the HTTP request itself. We are going to put it in the header manager. So at this point, we are going to go ahead and copy each one of these. We do have to add them and make sure that we have all of them added. So I'll show you a couple ways to do that. You can always go in, add them individually. You can go ahead and add that here to this line, and then copy the rest of the information from here and just add it to our other line. Now, there is a shortcut that personally I like to use myself. The easier way to do that is to just grab all of the headers at the same time, just copy those. Then you can add from your clipboard, and automatically JMeter is going to go ahead and parse that out so that it gets all the information. You don't have to add them all one by one. And that way you're sure that you're getting all of your information. So that being done, we do now have our headers added in there. And now we can go back to our request and start working on that. Now, the rest of the information that we need is, and this being a very simple web service itself, it's just the body of the web service. So we can go ahead and copy that over. We can bring that. Now, that being the body of the web service, we're not going to add it here in the parameters section, but we're going to go to our body data. And we can just go ahead and paste that in. And that's going to be our web service. Now, in order to be able to process that and to see what information we're getting and if it works, now we actually need to kind of run that test and see if it's actually working. Now, to do that, again, if you are familiar with JMeter, the way that we can see how our process is working, we are going to go ahead and add in one of our listeners. And we're just going to put in a simple result tree so that we can see if that works. Now, in order to actually run this and get some sort of result, we do need to change any information that is currently a variable that we need to modify. Now, what we are going to be doing here is adding 2 integers. So we can always rename our request. So add 2 integers. That way it kind of keeps track of what we're doing. And now we see that we're going to add our 2 integers. We do need to change those. So for example, if I were to add in a 20 and then add in, let's say, a 25, now I can run this test and I can perform or execute that test on this web service. Now, in order to do that, I do need to save it. So let's go ahead and save that right here. We'll just save it as, let's say, calculator web service. All right, we'll just save that there. All right, now to execute this, again, if you are familiar with JMeter, you know how to execute your test. If you are not, then our execute buttons are these up here at the top. Now, in order to run that, all we need to do is just go ahead and hit play. And we'll see our script go ahead and execute, and we have our result. Now, this green check mark more often than not indicates that everything ran correctly, but we can definitely go ahead and check. Now, our integers that we put in were 20 and 25. So in simple addition, we know that that's going to be our 45. And we need to go in and check to make sure that it is actually giving us the result that we expect. So it is giving us a response code of 200. As Delvis did mention before, this is one of our preferred response codes, 200 OK. That means that it was executed successfully. Now from here, all we're getting is that it ran correctly. We can't exactly tell if it was processed. Now right here, we can go back and we can see our request. This is the same web service itself. We can see that it has our values entered right here. And we can go back to our response data. And this does make it a little difficult to understand. When you know what you're looking for, you kind of zero in and you know what to expect. Now, right here, what we knew to expect was our addition result. This is what we're looking for. So our 45 is actually giving us the addition of our 2 integers. Now, there are multiple ways that you can see this information. You can kind of parse it out differently. You can, depending on what you're looking at and what the response is that you're getting, you can break it all out into different formats. Now, in this case, for example, HTML isn't going to give us too much. We can go to XML, and that's going to give us a little bit more, seeing as how this is providing us a kind of an XML format. So if we start breaking this out and expanding, we start going to the SOAP body, the response, then our result specifically, and there's our result again. So once you kind of know what you're looking for and the format of what it's written in, I mean, of course, we knew that this was XML, so we could have pinpointed XML automatically. and we can break it out here as well. If we want to see it just in regular text format, which is kind of the default of JMeter, then once we know what we're looking for, we can see our test result here. Now, to expand a little bit more on this, and not to build it out all at once, let's go ahead and give you another example so we can take a look at this. And I'll just load my pre-made test plan that I already had. We're going to look at it. It is going to be my same 2 integers that I added, but at this point, wrong one. That's the same one I just pulled. Haha. No wonder it wasn't different. This one is going to be different. See, there we go. See, I have my 2 requests. I have my same addition, which is adding 2 integers, but I also threw in a multiplication here. So if we go back to our web service site, we can go ahead and check the complete calculations, and we can go to multiply, and we have our multiplication web service. Now, as you can see, it looks very similar. It is, as I mentioned, a very simple, just a very simple web service calculator that we are working with. And from here, we can just go ahead and put in our same information. If we look at our multiplication, we have our same kind of layout here, our body data. We have it's a post, our path, our server name as well. We have our headers in there. So it's all the same information. But one thing that I do want to point out a little bit here is that instead of putting in 2 integers, I actually have a variable. So this is a neat way to be able to actually reuse a lot of your scripts to make sure that we are getting the right information and that it kind of interacts between itself, and to kind of have that that continuation from one part of the web service to another part, or even if you are using multiple web services in your script. As we know, sometimes we can use multiple web services when we are actually testing something. So this result right here, you might ask where we're getting it from, but again, being a very simple web service that we have, all we did was we decided to take the result of our addition web service and use that here in our multiplication. Now, in order to be able to do that, it's a simple matter of knowing where our information is coming from. So when we ran this and we knew that our response for our addition is right here, then we know that we can actually pull that and kind of extract that information from the response that we are getting from our addition web service. Now, to do that, the way that JMeter provides for us is a regular expression extractor. We can go ahead and put in our regular expression extractor here. We can create our variable and just name that. And from there, now we can use this variable name in our second web service. So if we look at this, and when I executed that, if I go to our regular addition of 2 integers, I can see that my request is adding 20 and 25. But now if I go to my multiplication request, I can see that it's using that 45 as the response from my addition that it gave me before. Because now at this point, it's just taking that and replacing the variable that I input right here and using that instead. And now if I go to my response, I can go ahead and see that my multiplication result, if I want to look at it in text, is 90. I can tell that my 2 times 45 is giving me my expected result, outside of just being able to tell that we did get a valid 200 OK response code. So again, that's just a little simple way and kind of an outlook on how to do or how to use JMeter for web service testing. Again, all this information is in our GitHub. You can go ahead and extract that information from here. It'll have the complete script, and you'll be able to play around with it a little bit. Now, from here, not only can we see our results tree, but the actual performance part of this. The idea is to actually get information from running our tests that allow us to infer certain details from the actual performance of the web service. So from here, we can see how many samples we did for each request or each web service, what the average duration, median duration was. We can see our percentiles as well, the minimum and maximum. Of course, this being a very simple test run of just one user, we didn't put a lot of load on there. We didn't stress the system at all. So it's going to be, it's going to provide us just very simple results. But This is kind of an idea just so that you can see our data. You can see it in a graph format as well if we had more information. And that will allow you to actually get that information that we'll use in performance testing to actually verify the performance of our web service. All right. So that's what we have for web services. Again, very simple. Just always work your way down from the top. That way you're sure that you're not missing anything. All right. Now, going back to that, our next part is JMeter test plans for databases. Now, very similar to our web services, this is information that we're going to have to enter in manually. It's not something that we're going to be able to record directly using our script recorder or going through and clicking on the website and getting that information directly from the application that we are testing. All right. So in order to get the JMeter to accurately test our databases, there are a few elements that we need to take into consideration. We do need to download the jar file for the connection configurator, which will be used by JMeter. This does need to be installed. We need to make sure that in order to complete our database request, we are adding in the correct driver class. Now, in our case, what we are using to test is MySQL, but JMeter does allow us to test with Oracle, with SQL, with MongoDB, with Postgres SQL. It can use multiple different databases, and it can test multiple different databases. Now, in our case, again, since we are using MySQL, you will just download the driver for JMeter to use SQL, and all you need to do is copy that into the path of your JMeter install into the library folder or the lib folder. All right. It is a very simple process. It's again, if you are familiar with JMeter, it has a plethora of plugins that you can download and install, or just copy over to the directories and files that you have where you are installing JMeter. So this is just an addition of one of those extra kind of plugins that we can download. Now, in our particular case, I'm going to show you just a database test plan. We're going to run a few queries, just 3 queries differently. In our first query, we are going to select all values from a table named user details, where the first name is David. And that's going to return all of those values from the user details where the first name is David. In our second query, we're going to run it again, same table, user details, but we want to give us the usernames where the first name is David and the gender is male. So this is where we're injecting a few more qualifications into our query to make sure that we are getting the more granular in what we're searching for. And our third query is going to be the most granular. We are going to select the first and last name of the user whose password is this string of characters right here. All right. A copy of our database that we are going to be looking at is going to be this right here. Again, this database is just a sample that we have. We will be including it in our GitHub so that you can also download that and play around with that. Again, we have it installed in MySQL, but feel free to use any of the databases that we have available, or that you would like to use, sorry. So to go to that, and this one I do have already prepared, I will go ahead and walk us through the test plan for this. Same situation, we are going to start with a blank test plan. Now, we are going to have to pull in our connection configurator. This is the main part that is going to allow us to communicate with our actual database. Now, this being the first step that we pull in, we do need to configure it correctly. This is just going to be a simple configuration. This is kind of default or already in there by default. The one thing we do want to make sure that we are putting in there is our variable name for the database that we are using. So for example, we could have a script with multiple databases, but we want to make sure that in this particular case, we are using one specific database. So we're going to just give it a variable. In this case, we named it X just to make it simple. But we'll see how this is carried over to our third group momentarily. And the main part that we want to configure is down here. So this is going to be our database information, right? This is going to tell us that we are using a JMeter database connector. We are using MySQL, And then this is going to be the address and the port that we are using to connect to our database. And this is just going to be the database location within that port, right? The rest of this information that you can see after the question mark, this is just time zone information that is a lot of times added automatically after you run the tests. That's just going to be different depending on the actual time zone of your database, right? Next thing we want to pick is our database driver class. As we mentioned, we are going to use MySQL, but if we see this drop down, you can use many different database types. We have Postgres, we have Oracle, even Microsoft SQL Server. There are many different database types that we can utilize. That being said, our username and our password to be able to access the actual database itself is going to be very important in order to be able to actually pull that and extract that information. So once we have our connection configuration all established, we can go in and we can create our test group, our thread group, again, just adding a thread group. And that's going to give us, from here, the ability to start putting in our database request. Now, these being the queries that I mentioned before, as we can see, if you know a little bit of SQL, you can go ahead and manually put in all of your queries here. If you don't know this, then obviously you can get some help from your database admins to be able to give you what queries we want to run and what we want to test. So from here, again, we're going to select all the values from the user details table where the first name is David. All right. In our second query, we're going to select the username from the user details table where the first name is David and the gender is male. So it's actually going to just return, or should, if everything is set up correctly, it's going to return our username from that table. And then our third query, getting a little more granular, we're going to select the username from the user details table where the password is this one. So we're getting very granular. We're looking for one specific result that we're trying to get. So if we have all this, again, all set up, and we can see that our variable pool, as I mentioned before, right here is X. This is just the variable that we named our database. So we could use these tests in multiple different databases if we wanted to. We would just have to have multiple connection configurations for each one of those, and then give them a different variable. And then our queries can be used on different databases, right? Just by swapping out that variable right there. Now, these are already pre-established. So if I were to run my test and execute the script, I can go ahead and run that. And we can see that our queries came back, response 200 OK. And if we go back to the response data to actually see what we are getting as a result from that, we can see here that it's pulling all of that information. So in the first query, which our request was select everything from the user details table where the first name is David. So right here, we have all of these entries where the first name is David. And this goes back to that database table that we were using. As we can see, it's about 100 lines, if I'm not mistaken. And it just pulled in our 5 entries where the first name was David. Now, again, now we want to get more granular with our second request. We're looking at our actual request. We're going to return the usernames from that same table where the first name is David and our gender is male. So if we were to go through and have to look for this manually, we would have to start looking through, David and gender is male. We should have 2 results, and it would be Rivera 92 and Daniel 56. If we go to our second query, there are our usernames. All right. And our third query, getting even more granular, if we go to check the request, we want to return just that one username from that table where we actually have this one specific password. So if we go to that response, we'll see that it's actually just giving us that one username that we were looking for in our database. So out of all those 100 files or entries that we had in our database, it's giving us just that one that had that specific password. So from here, we can see in just a few different queries, we can get more granular. We can look for a variety of data entries that we're looking for, depending on what we're testing, what our application uses, what it requires. That's going to allow us to go through and pull all of that information on using our simple scripts. All right, this is our result tree, gives us the response data, tells us if our scripts and our queries are going to be successful and our request. And then again, going back to viewing our results for performance reasons, we can see each one of our requests, how many times we called on that request and how many users we had. And it's going to give us our average durations, our median duration, our percentile lines. We can again see our minimum and maximum durations for each one. We can kind of infer a lot of information straight from here to use in our performance delivery reports that we're going to provide at the end of our testing. So all in all, it's very simple. It's different in the sense from, I guess you could say, regular scripting, in the sense that we are not recording it. We do have to enter everything manually, whether it is for our database testing or for our web service testing. So that's going to be just a kind of a little sample of how to perform some of that testing in our files or for databases and web services. And that's pretty much all I have for now. So if anybody does have any questions, feel free to shoot them our way, whether it is through the chat here on Zoom, or certainly send them through Facebook as well. And as I mentioned before, you can always reach out to us through our website or directly via email if you like, if you want more information on anything of what we do, or on the Performance Testing United certification process. And you can always find us on Twitter as well, if you have any questions, or just to drop by and say hello. At this point, I do thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed, or at least got some value out of the presentation, and welcome to the meetup. We definitely look forward to seeing you again.